All right, guys, we're going to try that again. We're back Super Bowl Sunday with the Proptologist. Yes, that is the nickname that our audience gave Andy Lang because he is the master of all things props. So if you have a prop question, drop it in the chat. We all know that I am not that well versed in props, but Andy Lang has taught me a lot. Of course, Ariel Epstein has as well. So I have a bunch of prop bets that I threw together. I threw together a couple Splash Sports lineups, Andy, because they have a 300% super boost today. And I'm like, well, let's just, get all involved. It's Super Bowl Sunday. I enjoy the action. What are some of the prop bets that I need to be looking at? I know you and I did a standalone video. You did some stuff for TikTok as well, but some of the ones that I need to be looking at, like, let's dig deep here before we get some of these questions to populate.
Okay, so I just believe that these quarterbacks are not going to throw interceptions tonight. So you do something with it. You either take Patrick Mahomes to not throw an interception. You can take Jalen Hurts to not throw an interception. You can do a same game parlay and take both of them to not throw an interception. There was a prop available on DraftKings. Will the very first turnover be a fumble or an interception? And fumble was plus 130. These guys have gone 17 games in a row combined without throwing an interception. Jalen Hurts doesn't throw the ball a ton. We know that. It's going to be a running attack. Patrick Mahomes has one interception in the last 9 postseason games. Both these quarterbacks, when they're pressured, they take off and run, or they throw the ball away. They just don't make the really bad, dangerous pass. So I really do believe that these quarterbacks are just not going to turn the ball over. So however you want to attack it, you can take both of them. You can just focus on one of them. But I really believe that we're just not going to see an interception tonight. The next one, I don't think people realize Kareem Hunt has scored a touchdown 4 games in a row, and he is plus 140 now to score a touchdown. He's their goal line back. When they get in close in the 5, he's the one getting the carries. It's not Isaiah Pacheco. And Pacheco's smaller than Hunt. Like, Hunt is going to be the guy getting the goal line carries if they choose to run the ball when they get inside the 5. We know the Chiefs absolutely 100% do not do the tush push. They don't have Mahomes do the quarterback sneak. He got hurt like a while. I think it was a couple years ago. He got hurt trying to do it, and they were like, "That's it. We're never doing that again." So I do like Kareem Hunt to score a touchdown in this one. And the gift that keeps on giving is the Samaje Perine over 7.5 or over 8.5 receiving yards, gone over in 14 out of the last 15 games. And I just love that the Chiefs, they always have that one play designed that goes to Samaje Perine. They save it for a crucial 3rd and 6 or a 4th down, or it's in their arsenal, and they've been using it every single game. 14 out of 15 games is not a streak that I can ignore. We've been playing him once we realize what they've been doing with him, and it's a little nerve-wracking because he's only going to get 1, maybe 2 catches. But it's always for double digits. So give me Perine over his receiving yards. Those are some ones I'd start off focusing on.
All right, let's talk about some of the defensive props. VR kind of piqued my interest with Cooper DeJean, over half an interception. MVP is just a wild bet, but we've seen defensive players win very rarely, but it does happen, especially if he were to get a game-saving interception or something kind of wild like that. I know that you don't think anybody's going to throw an interception, but do you look at defensive props, right? Like, I took Quinyon Mitchell over 2.5 tackles today, mainly because he's from my dad's town, and I just wanted to have a reason to cheer for him. Plus, I'm on the Eagles, and I was like, I'm going to throw him in a couple of these, like, splash lineups just for fun, right? I actually don't have a great handicap as far as the defensive side of things go on who is going to get said tackles. Can you tell me how maybe I should be approaching that?
Yeah, so I would go look at like the team sacks. Like I would look at like instead of trying to figure out who on the Chiefs is going to sack Jalen Hurts, just take the Chiefs to get over like 1.5, 2.5 sacks, depending on where your book is. I would play it up to 2.5. Jalen Hurts, again, like he will throw the ball away. He will try and run, but he will also take a sack instead of making the really dumb throw. So I would look at playing just the team to go over there. You can get George Karlaftis over 0.25 sacks. So that's a really, really big number because if he gets there at the same time as another defender, he's still going to cash her over in this one. So I think Jalen Hurts is probably going to get sacked a few more times than Patrick Mahomes, just because of the nature of their running game. They're scrambling, and maybe Jalen Hurts isn't quite 100%. So I would look at Karlaftis if I'm looking at individual players. And as far as solo tackles and or tackles and assists, I would be looking at linebackers and linebackers in particular for the Kansas City Chiefs. If this is a really, really heavy running attack from Philadelphia, which we know it should be, and if they get a lead, we know they're going to run the ball even more. Then you're really looking at these linebackers to crowd up the line and get involved with some of those attacks and tackles and assists. Whereas with Philly, is Kansas City going to have a dominant run attack tonight? I don't know. Probably not. That's not really been their MO. So if you're looking at tackles and assists, I'd be looking at some of the outside guys, maybe the cornerbacks, DBs.
Cornerbacks and DBs. Devonta Smith over receiving yards. Austin Lambrecht wants to know. This is an interesting one. I did a Mad Dog Radio this morning with my good friend Carrington Harrison, and he said he loved the Devonta Smith over receiving yards. And I kind of started thinking about this. I know a lot of people are going to be looking at the receivers, obviously, the A.J. Browns of the world and the bigger names. But let's talk about some of these secondary backs, right? Because everybody wants to talk about Saquon Barkley, but now all of a sudden Devonta Smith just kind of getting written off here. Is that something we need to be looking at some of these catch passing backs?
So here's what I would do with Devonta Smith. He's had 99, 100, and 122 yards in 3 games against Kansas City. I would play some of his alt totals over. Like, I would ladder him up. I would play him over 50 yards, over 60 yards, over 70 yards, over 80 yards, maybe all the way up to 100 yards. I mean, you can't ignore 3 games at 100 yards over against the same team. There's something going on there. Has he been that great this year? Not recently, but it could be one of these things. Like, is he due? Like, he started off the year and went over in 6 out of 7 games, but the last 2 games, 45 and 21 yards, not exactly the best. But I know Dan is big on Devonta Smith. It does feel like somebody is just going to kind of come out of nowhere for Philadelphia because there's going to be so much attention on Saquon. Devonta's a good one, but if you're going to play him, I would play him pretty aggressive, and I'd take him all the way up to like 70 or 80 yards.
Yeah, can you kind of explain what the ladders are, just for those that don't know? I know a lot of people are new to that kind of stuff. Just briefly.
Sure. Yeah, I do kind of hate the word ladder because it's used in several different things. But when we talk about receiving yards, you can take here. Let me pull it up here. All right, so Devonta Smith to get 50 yards is minus 131. So if you think Devonta Smith is going to have a good one, you lay maybe like, a unit on that, and then a half unit on 60 yards at plus 121. Then another half unit on 70 yards at plus 194. Then maybe a quarter unit on 80 yards at plus 284. 90 yards is plus 420. 100 yards is plus 598. So that way, if he gets in the middle, you're still, going to break even. But if he has that big game, that's how you really, really take advantage of some of those really big numbers. So if you think you got a good read on a guy who's going to have a big explosive game, you take like 2 or 3 units and you just spread it across all of those different 10-yard increments.
Great explanation. Let's take a couple more questions here from the chat. EWN community. Justin Watson over 1.5 receiving yards is plus 210. Boy, oh boy, are we digging deep today.
Yes, we are. I have not looked here. Let me look up Watson here real quick. I don't think I even have any. I don't think I have. I honestly, I don't know. You're hoping for that one miracle catch. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. I have not looked up Watson in the slightest. I don't want to give out any bad information or information I don't believe in. So, yeah, go for it. Why not?
Here's one that Andy gave out, I believe, on ours. Over 2.5 players to an attempt to pass. Was that correct, Andy? We talked about that, didn't we? I feel like I've done so many shows this week, I forget. Everything's so convoluted at this point.
Yeah, so this falls in the category of fun, like where you're not. This isn't trying to build your bankroll with some with real bets. This is just a little bit of sprinkle on this one. This is just fun to root for. like there's a fake punt, you're going to cash it. The punter throws one, they do an end around where the receiver throws it. There's so many ways that it potentially could happen that it's just fun to root for. I'll give you a couple of other fun ones that I like there. The Super Bowl, the coin toss tails. No opinion on the coin toss, Kelly. That did not make the client card. Good luck. I'm rooting for tails because I feel like everyone's on tails, but that one I have no opinion on that one. So the fun ones I'm focusing on, the 2.5 players to throw a pass, longest kickoff return under 32.5 yards. Kelly, these two kickers, they have an 80% rate on their kicks being touchbacks. Like how many kickoff returns are we actually going to have? 32.5 seems pretty long. So I'm going to root for there to not be too many kickoffs and for all of them to go in the end zone. And here's my favorite one. Over 1.5 times the word birthday will be said on the broadcast. Kelly, it's Saquon Barkley's birthday. So we know they're going to mention it at least once. And if he scores, you got to know the birthday boy gets on. Like, it feels like over 1.5 is a no-brainer that they're going to mention it at least twice. So that's a pretty fun prop that I actually really like.
It's also hilarious. Cooper DeJean's birthday. I'll share that as well. You guys were talking about Cooper DeJean.
Oh, this is a lot.
So
this is a lot.
That feels very strong.
Andy, where can we even bet something like that?
This is from our good friend Dave Mason, Bet Online.
Okay. Bet Online, Dave Mason.
Also, Kelly, if you like the tinfoil hat stuff, if you like the tinfoil hat stuff, guys, Saquon Barkley and Cooper DeJean, their jersey numbers add up to 59. Eagles are a lock. That's all I'll say.
Listen, I won't get into the astrology stuff. We've already lost half of our audience due to technical issues, but just know that the stars are not aligned for the Kansas City Chiefs today. We'll leave it at that. Let's see if we got any more questions here in the chat for Andy Lang. All right, Austin Lambrecht says he likes Nolan Smith over sacks. Nolan Smith, one of the best Eagles defensive players. He's going to be headhunting for Patrick Mahomes, but we know how hard it is to get Patrick Mahomes on his backside. Let's talk about some more defensive props here, Andy.
Yeah, Nolan Smith, he's done really, really well. He's got at least one sack in all 3 playoff games, had one against Washington, one against the Rams. He had a huge game with assists and tackles. So in the game against Green Bay, but he's kind of tailed off just a little bit, but he is getting pressure on the quarterback. Yeah, absolutely. Mahomes he's hard to sack, but he's not, impossible. I won't get to the window on this one, but yeah, if you have to focus on one Philadelphia Eagle player, it probably is Nolan Smith. The guy's been on fire with getting sacks in the playoffs. So yeah, I could support that one.
Andy, when I went on the radio this morning, he goes, hey, anytime touchdown scorer. And I said, here's the problem. Everybody wants to bet on the Saquons, the Patrick Mahomes, the Jalen Hurts, tush push, right? Like the big names, the Travis Kelce. But I feel like all of the value has now been extracted, right? Like, if you want to bet it, sure, you throw it into like a same game parlay or whatever you're going to do for today. But tell me like an anytime touchdown score that's kind of like a longer shot, if you will. Like somebody that you're like, you know what? I could see this being played out, on the goal line when everybody thinks the Eagles are going to do a tush push. Kenneth Gainwell gets the carry, not Saquon Barkley. Like something fun that you could see playing out that may actually be worth wagering on versus laying, minus $2 with Saquon.
Well, we talked about Kareem Hunt. Sorry. I guess why is AJ Brown plus 185? Like I know he and Jalen Hurts haven't been, dynamite in the playoffs, but if they're going to focus on taking away Saquon Barkley, plus 185 on AJ Brown, that kind of feels like a good value. I'll give you another one here that's kind of an absolute random one. Grant Calcaterra. How about that? He has one catch in the playoffs. This is the guy that would randomly catch a touchdown at like 6-1, where you think it's Dallas Goedert, but instead it's Grant Calcaterra on some like crazy broken play or some crazy design play. But AJ Brown and Calcaterra could be some ones. You could also do. If you like if you think the Eagles defense is this dynamite, take the Eagles defense plus 550. to score a touchdown as well. I don't remember the last time we had a defensive touchdown in the Super Bowl. It's kind of escaping.
I think it was Super Bowl 50 with the Broncos, right? Was it the Broncos?
Yeah,
I think that might have been it. It's been a while. Let's say that. It's hard to remember those.
Yeah.
Let's take Tony's question here. Halftime, full time. Halftime will be a tie. Kansas City win the game plus 1,700. Halftime tie. Philly win the game plus 1,800. Half unit on each. All we need is a tie at the half. Yeah, I think that just seems so easy, right? Like it's just going to be 14 and a half or 10 and a half. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case. Andy, do you ever do anything with some of these exotic final score props or, things where you need a double result to happen?
No, I don't dabble with those. I do know there's a podcast that I follow, and one guy figured out that the Pittsburgh Steelers throughout the regular season would always be down at halftime, and then they would win. It's like they just started off slow, and then they'd win, and he was getting like 7-1 on that one. I have not dabbled in it. Good luck. I have no idea how to predict if the game is going to be tied at halftime. I don't have any stats or opinions to back that up, but again, I'm rooting for you.
Rob Christensen says, I know teasing the total in the NFL is frowned upon, but why not grab Philadelphia plus 7.5 and over 42.5 on DK? I would be lying to you if I said I did not tease the total in this game. Joe Ranieri talked about it on Bet On It, and I don't disagree with you. I think this game could absolutely land under 48.5 and over 42.5. We know there's a couple key numbers there. If you can still get Philadelphia plus 7.5 in a teaser, God bless you. I have not seen that for a few days now. Andy, your thoughts on this potential teaser? Maybe give me an opinion on the total here if you have one and how it correlates to your props.
I agree with this. I agree with this play completely. I actually talked about trying to do the Chiefs plus 7.5 and the over 41.5 on a same game parlay. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. I would try maybe to get that down to 41.5 if you could. But listen, the line is telling us that the books fully expect this to be a one-score game. So if you can get 7.5, great. And yeah, the total I think is pretty dialed in at that 48.5, 49. So if you're getting an extra touchdown on it, I do. And I don't know, the teasing the total down. I mean, I don't know what the stats are, but is it really frowned upon? Kelly, is that something that I don't do teases? Is that something
here's the reality. Like the old school guys will tell you, it all depends on what you're paying for as far as juice, right? So like I have one book left that charges minus 110 on teasers. Just one. That's it. It's like nobody else does that. Everybody else is minus 120, minus 130. It is awful. So there is not enough value in the total as there is from 3 to 7, right? So like we either want to tease that favorite down below a field goal or we want to tease that underdog above a touchdown. And they have constantly said that there is not value. There are not enough key numbers as far as the total goes to make worth teasing worthwhile. The problem is, like I said, you don't want to take an open teaser like I'm able to do and put Philadelphia in it and then do what? Wait till March Madness and try to tease a college basketball game? That sounds worse than trying to tease the total here on this one. Rob Christensen had a comment. He said, another not so smart teaser. I played Kansas City plus 7.5 and Philly plus 7.5. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. If you were able to get that, I do not frown on things that make me money. LOLs. Fair enough, Ian. If you guys are making money on betting NFL totals, I would love to see the data on it. It would be absolutely awesome because Ralph does a lot of stuff with it and able to keep track of it. And we all know they move back the PAT. They change the kickoff. All of these things affect the game, and they're going to start affecting what games land, right? John Murray's famous quote is, games don't land one. Yeah, well, they do. And I would really laugh very hard if this one does as well. We had a question about Isaiah Pacheco from Dan Parsons. What are your thoughts on Pacheco's rushing yards? 21.5 seems low.
My thoughts are he has not looked 100% since he came back from that injury. It's honestly a bad matchup for him. He's the smaller back than Kareem Hunt, and that defensive line of Philadelphia is pretty nasty. To me, it's just kind of a health thing. Maybe this extra 2 weeks helps him out. Maybe they've been saving him a little bit, but you're hoping that he breaks a pretty big one, because he just has not been getting the volume, has not been getting he just hasn't been getting enough carries, and then he goes up against a really great defense. So it seems low for a reason. The books probably have sniffed this out that Kareem Hunt is going to be the preferred back in this game, unless the Chiefs have completely fooled us and they've been kind of keeping him in the garage here, and now they're ready to unleash him. But I wouldn't take anything over with Pacheco. That's just me.
All right. Any more questions? Patrick Steiner wants to know, AJ Brown down to 4.5 receptions on FanDuel. Is that easy money?
No such thing as easy money in this space, unless you're taking Sam Bennett and the Florida Panthers over 2.5 shots on goal. Hey, client's been cashing that one every day, Kelly. All right. AJ Brown, 4.5 receptions. No, I would prefer his over yards as opposed to receptions, because he's more than capable of getting those huge, big chunks, and that's where I think he's gonna get a couple of one-on-one situations down the field when they stack the line against Saquon. So I would prefer his yards as opposed to his receptions.
All right, guys, if you have any more questions for Andy, drop them in the chat. We're gonna get out of here fairly shortly. We've got bets to make. Andy, tell everybody what they can expect from you over at WagerTalk.com. You just mentioned a random hockey player, to me anyway, that over shots on goal, and love it, and your clients just keep cashing.
13 games in a row. 13 games in a row this play has hit. So, it's a slow day outside of the Super Bowl. So we've got some props up. That Super Bowl package is up at WagerTalk. Last day to get that Super Bowl to Super Bowl long-term pass, number one the last 2 years in profits. But we're just going to be kind of taking it easy, and then tomorrow we're going to get back to it. NBA has been fantastic, Kelly, on a 16-4 run in those. Swept the board in NHL yesterday. So just remember the Super Bowl, guys. The money spends the same. You don't have to go crazy. Protect your bankrolls. Yeah, protect your bankrolls tonight. Don't go too crazy. If you've had too many drinks and you feel the urge to pull out your phone to fire off some live bets, just be really, really careful. Anyone think of exact interceptions, 0 and 1? I love this one. I love this one. This is a great play. You get plus 200, and if there's you can make a unit there. I love this one. Like this is right up my alley. This is my favorite one so far.
Okay, so you would take 0, neither team to throw an interception, and then you would take each quarterback to throw an interception.
Oh, one each? Oh, no, not one each. I thought it was 0 or 1. Oh, no. He is saying you can take 0 interceptions in the game or just 1 interception. Each of those plays are plus 200. So if there's 0 interceptions or 1 interception, you hit a plus 100 play. I like this one. Yes, this is great. Okay. This is a great play, because I just don't think you're going to see any interceptions. But if a ball gets batted at the line, or a Hail Mary or something, but yes, I love that one. That's a great play.
All right. Let's talk rushing attempts real quick. How many do you have for the running backs in this game? So, Andy, do you handicap the game in its entirety, right? Like we know at the Westgate Superbook, they had, the total amount of yardage for the entire game, right? So every rushing play, every passing play for both teams, like that kind of like full culmination. Have you looked into this from a running back's perspective?
So you got like completely different approaches from both of these teams. Like, Philly has one guy who's going to be getting all the carries, and then you've got the Chiefs who are going to sprinkle in, a couple ones. So here, let me pull up rush attempts, because the books will tell us what they think for rush attempts here. All right, so for rush attempts, you have Gainwell at 1.5 and Saquon Barkley 21.5. So the books are telling you about 23. Then they have 5.5 for Pacheco and only 11.5 for Kareem Hunt. So 23 plus, call it 17, looks like about 40. That sounds about right. I would almost take the over in that one, because I don't think there's a blowout situation where one team has to completely abandon the run. So I think both teams will not abandon the run game here. So I don't know what the total is, Showtime League, but if it's around 40, I would lean the over on that one.
All right, around 40, look towards the over. Any more questions? Otherwise, we're getting out of here, guys. It's halftime of some of these college basketball games, and I'm going to be looking for some advantages. Andy Lang, at Andy Lang Bets, at Bump Sports, depending on where you like to watch your social media. Andy, we appreciate you coming on and deep dive in. We're going to miss you on Bet On It, unless you're going to be there for Prop Shop for college basketball.
Probably not. I don't really do props in college basketball. I've dabbled in it. That is one of the toughest sports to try and do player props on is college basketball. Like freaking trying to predict what a sophomore is going to do on a Tuesday night at Vanderbilt on the basketball court. No, thank you. So you guys have fun.
Okay, last one. Gatorade. Yep, let's do the last question. So the Gatorade's going to be green. I already got a text from Chris Thurston 3 days ago. The Gatorade is going to be green. I know the Chiefs were purple last time they won. I'm just telling you that I got a text that said the Gatorade was going to be green. Take that for what you will. Good luck today, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us here on Last Call every single Saturday and Sunday. We will see you guys next week. Hit the hardwood, some college basketball only talk. I'm very excited for that one. Again, make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss another episode of Last Call, and we'll see you guys next week.